That's the way to do this. We're live. We're live. What's up? Hey, we're live. Welcome Friday. Elias, what's up, my friend? Mar, happy Friday indeed. How's everybody doing? Welcome, welcome, everybody. I'm going to turn this off and see how long I can stand no AC tonight. Sweat it out this hour with y'all. If you're somewhere hot tonight. What's up, Duke? Excellent from Missouri. What's up? Anthony McSee, what's up? Cheers, my friend. Saturday morning in Hong Kong. Excellent. Rich, what's up? How you doing? No worries at all. Glad you can join live again. Ron, what's up? Leave on the AC. Peter, what's up, everybody? Peter, good to see you. Harry, good to see you. New Zealand. Excellent. Jim Gregory's here. What's up? Yeah, I thought I went with the, I don't know if you can see the ridged cocktail glass there. There you go. Kind of see that. All right, everybody. Rich, excellent. And Rick Sticks, good to see you. Jay, what's up? Good to see you. Zane, how's it going, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Dennis from Arkansas. Ed, all right, everybody. Yes, this is it's actually an LTD, one of the cheap Phoenixes that is heavily modified, of course. Sometimes I get these rock and roll guitars and just modify like crazy. So pretty happy with where it's at right now. Yes, LTD Phoenix. That's it. The way back in the day, I used to have an actual ESP called the Phoenix, Japanese-made ESP. And back in my years playing sideband guitar in LA, it was sort of the wrong kind of guitar for a lot of the gigs I was doing. So I sort of traded it away for some guitar that was a little more appropriate. So I always wanted to get one again. And so I picked up this one and modded it heavily. Yeah, it's got the arcade kill switch there, right? So it's kind of fun. Anyway. I'm doing good, Mr. Daniel. What's up, Jim? Welcome. First time. All right. OH, what's up? Jazz House, 87 degrees. Oh, man. Keep cool. Keep cool. All right. Glenn, what's up? Glenn, well, I'm glad you're back to jamming, so no worries at all. I'm glad you could tune in tonight, okay? Cool, cool. All right, Craig, what's up? Keith, excellent. Gulf Coast. All right. Staying safe down there, I hope. Stormy weather down there. All right, and hi-de-ho from Oz. Excellent. Good evening, Danny. All right, excellent turnout tonight. For those of you that kind of tuned in a little bit early, sort of my regulars here, we have a handout, PDF handout in the description. If you expand the description below this video, there's a handout. Now, word of warning, I had to do a last-minute change. I found a mistake in it. So if you happen to download this or click on it earlier, like in the couple hours leading up to this, I've now revised it to version 2. So if you have that older version of it, there's a mistake in there. I'll point it out when we get there, but there's a new version 2 that you can click to down here. Who else we got here? Chad, what's up? All right. Love it. Felicia from Jacksonville. Excellent. And, of course, T. McMahon from Boston. Good to see you. Jody 1 from California, Sacramento. Excellent. Ken, excellent. Right on. Oh, 103, Ray. Oh, man, crazy. It is crazy summer for sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, Pirates Paris sort of thing going on, Russ. Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. We got a guitar workout tonight. So, Mr. Daniels, it's standard tuning or drop tuning? No, just standard. Standard tonight. Yeah, just standard tuning, and that's it. Cool. All right, so guitar workout tonight. We're going to start sort of with some sort of easier, sort of more beginner stuff for those of you that are new to the guitar or have only been playing for a little while or joining, need some little bit of tips or some exercises to kind of work on. And, towards the end, we'll get a little more intermediate sort of style, and just, once, as always, hopefully you can grab some tidbits here and there and find it interesting, maybe even a little bit inspiring, some things for you to work on or consider adding into your skill set on the guitar. Yes, the upside down omega. Yeah, sort of ties into that whole thing, right? Thanks, Peter. Any new songs out? No, it's been a while. Our drummer kind of went MIA this year, so hopefully he'll be rearing his head at some point, but love to do more. Got your Rush on this week. Excellent. All right. Well, great. Yeah, we got some Rush songs on Guitar Tricks. That was crazy. I did Working Man for Guitar Tricks on the song list, and I have to say, there's a lot of improvised soloing in that one on the original recording, lengthy solos, fast soloing, and that is one of the ones that's like a top 3 for me, like getting blood blisters and really having to work to get that down. And hopefully I got close to it. Whenever you're kind of doing note for note stuff for a lot of these legendary guitar players, there's just something about, you try and get close to what they're doing, but there's just some sort of thing with the way that they play that makes it their own. You try really hard to get there. I hope I got close, but that was crazy. It was, there we go, Adam's Family. I love it. Joe Bonamassa, oh man, are you kidding me? The man is crazy fast. That's awesome. Yeah, I would love to. Would love to do that. I don't know if I could teach it though. It was hard enough doing the Rush song. Tell you that much. I really had to work hard to get that. So let that be said, everybody. Like, how I get on here and I talk about, you got to go slow. You got to go phrase at a time. You got to do repetition, repetition, repetition. That never ends. As a guitar player, I've been playing for decades, and there's still stuff that's difficult for me, and I have to do that. I have to take my own advice and just know if I put in the time, put in the repetition, it's going to come. But you just got to work to get it, right? And I still have to do that. So there you go. A little, but yeah, Adam's Family was kind of fun. You know what we got coming up? I'm going to be out in a couple weeks shooting some new stuff, and we got this one. See if anyone. I don't know if anyone knows that melody, but we got another one of those TV themes, which are pretty funny to end up on Guitar Tricks. But maybe some of you got that one. All right, on to the handout. Green Acres, there you go. You guys are with me. I love it. Yeah, it's coming up on the site. We're gonna be teaching that in a couple weeks. Hopefully, it'll be up on the site in another month or so. I'm a country boy. I like that. Look at all that. See, I'd never heard of Green Acres before I got assigned this song. So there you go. But yeah, definitely sort of a little before my time. All right, let's go to the handout, right? Oh yeah, the Ibanez. There you go, Chad. Absolutely. Yeah, I picked that one up for the Rush songs, but it's always good to have a semi-hollow body, and that one's a great value for a guitar. So there, Mr. Daniel, you're in my camp. I love it. Cool. All right, so yeah, weird show, good tune. I love it. Chromatic Warm Up, as always, with the guitar workout, just to get the fingers moving. And this is always sort of the variation on the same theme, the chromatic thing, or just using all 4 fingers to get on the fretboard and just get some mobility. Lately I've been picking like the 4th fret to start on this, more in the middle of the fret of the fretboard, just for some people new to the guitar where this is a little bit of a stretch. Okay, when you're first trying to program your fingers into the fretboard, it's a little bit tougher there at first. So just move it up a little bit, and if you have to even go up further to around the 7th fret, 8th fret, feel free to do this. But this particular one, we're going to start on the low string, index on the 4th, middle on the 5th, ring on the 6th, pinky on the 7th, and then move up strings and start with the pinky and come down, and then go to the next string up, next string down, next string up, next string down, right? So there you go. All right, that's the idea, and we're just going to repeat that sequence of notes across all the strings, and then we're going to move up 1 fret and bring it down in the same sequence, right? So we're going to try that out. Just get the fingers moving. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You get the idea. You can do this for a couple minutes. Just get your fingers working. It's a great picking exercise to get your picking honed in a little bit. Great exercise for speed and dexterity, right? You can play these a little bit faster and work on your speed. That kind of thing, right? Just an all-around great exercise. So highly recommended. And of course, Dan in the comments, yes, loves it. And Rich, yes, it does work for acoustic too. Okay. And in fact, any of this stuff tonight, pretty much any of this, there are a few things near the end that maybe are better suited to the electric, but you can transfer all this stuff to the acoustic. Okay. So hopefully that's helpful. Lisa, what's up? Good to see you. And Dan, thanks so much for the comment there on that. I appreciate that. Excellent. All right. So let's get into usually get into some sort of a basic sort of strumming pattern. Susan, what's up? Good to see you. Excellent. So, like I said, I'm going to be filming a few songs in a handful of songs in a couple weeks' time. And so I sort of get ideas. I've been working on these songs, so I get ideas for sort of exercises based on some of these songs that I'm doing. So one of these songs is sort of an old R&B kind of soul song, and it has sort of a combination of some strums and some arpeggiation. So this is always a cool approach to work on. I'm doing it with some sort of simpler open chords, right? We've got an open G. Okay, so you got the third fret of the low string, second fret of the A, open D, open G, open B string, and then third fret of the high string. And if you check out the tab here, and of course look at, so we've got some notation up top. So we've got, what's an, eighth notes going on, a quarter note that we're starting off with. And also I have the down and ups, right? So typically what I'll do is when there's an upstroke, that's going to be in between the beats, right? It's going to be an eighth note, but it's going to be on the and in between 1, 2, 3, 4. So it starts off with just a pick of the root note, 1, 2, and. Okay, so the second beat downstroke and then the and of 2 upstroke on the full chord. On the and of 3, we're going to pick it up, just a pick on the open G string and then a pick on downstroke on the open D and then back to the upstroke on the open G. So when you put that all together, okay, put it together a couple times. I'm not going to change chords yet. Whoops. Okay. So we're going to put that together with some chord changes. So next chord in the second bar here, which is actually bar 5 on the handout, is an open E minor. Okay. Second fret of the A and D strings, and then all the rest of the strings open. So, okay. So we're still, it's the exact same strumming picking pattern, just on a different chord. Let's put those 2 bars together a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Cool, right? So next chord, C major. Third fret of the A, second fret of the D, open G string, first fret of the B, high, open high string. Okay, now our root's on the 5th string. So you see how we're just going to pick on the 5th string or the A string. Okay, but we're still picking the G and D string on those later arpeggiations. Now we're going to the open D chord. All right, So now we're picking the open D string. That's where the root is for the open D chord, and then the full chord with the strum up and down, or down and up. Okay. Right on, Mr. Daniel. I love it. That minor chord. Of course. So put this one together. It sounds like this. All right, a few things about this. The key that we're in is the key of G major. So you've got your 1 chord off the top. Your 6 minor is the E minor. Your 4 chord is the C. And your 5 chord is the D chord, right? And that chord progression, exactly, Keith, it sounds very familiar. It's used in countless songs. In fact, these are called ice cream changes. A lot of times you get like the ice cream truck playing some variation on this kind of chord progression, you know, with the sort of tinkly sound or whatever. So yeah, this is a very common chord progression, you know, sort of a doo-wop kind of thing, used in R&B a lot, soul a lot like that. So very common chord progression, okay? And we just happen to be playing this in the key of G. So couple questions here. First one, is it normal, Ed? Is it normal to have to relearn a song I learned a year ago? I feel like I forget the material quickly. Yeah. It all comes down to how much time you initially spend with the song. Like if it's the kind of thing where you spent a couple days to learn it and maybe played it for a week and then forgot about it for a year, it's going to go, okay? It's gone. But if it's the kind of thing that you've worked at over months, it's more, and then you went away for a while and come back, it might be there a little bit, not maybe completely, but it's still, parts of it might still be there. What I find is that retention of songs comes down to a couple things. First thing is I realized that, you know, when I was growing up learning how to play guitar, you know how they always say that the music that forms your life soundtrack is like from the age of 12 or 13 up to 22 or something like that, right? And I find that to be the case. I feel like all the music I listen to in that age range, and in fact, I basically learned how to play guitar in those years by playing along with all those songs. Those songs are still there. They're in there. I can remember. I can come back to them years later and remember them. Maybe not so much now in the last 10 years, sort of parts of them, right? But what I notice is, you know, sort of, we're a little bit older now, most of us, right? A little bit. I don't know. I can't presume anything. I'm a little bit older, right? So, for example, guitar tricks, I might spend a couple weeks working really hard on a song that I'm going to teach on the site. And if I don't keep that song fresh after I've taught it, like if I don't think about it again, it's gone in a matter of weeks, okay? I would have to completely relearn that song even like a month later, okay? So, yeah, it's a normal thing. You know, what I always try to tell my students when they're building a repertoire, especially if you work really hard on learning songs, you know, to be able to play them, you know, is to, you know, just keep a log of all the songs that you know and try to revisit it regularly, like every week, every couple weeks, even every month. Just go through your song list and try to keep them in there. Keep it fresh. Play them, okay? Because if you let it go for a number of months, it'll start to get away on you, okay? Hopefully that helps a little bit. So, a lot of talking for that easy question somewhat. So there you go. Russ, is there an obvious way to know what key a song is based in the chord progression? For that, you need to know a little more theory, okay? What you need to know specifically are just the chord sets within any key, okay? So for example, a major key, the 1, 4, and 5 chords are major, and the 2, 3, and 6 chords are minor, right? And the roots of those chords follow the intervals or the scale degrees from the major scale. So if you kind of understand that, then you can, by trial and error, you can look at any chord progression and figure out where it fits into a key. So for example, you know, when I talked about this ice cream change chord progression in example 2, I look at it, I go G major, E minor, C, D. And, you know, right away I think, oh, if G is the 1 chord, does everything else fit? Okay. And it turns out that it does. Like E minor, the 6th chord in a major key should be a minor chord. And it turns out that E is the 6th chord in the key of G and it's minor. So that fits, right? The C chord is major and the C away from G, right? The root, G is the 1, C is the 4, right? Up the scale. So that's the 4th note of the scale. So the chord that goes with the 4th note of the scale as a root is a major chord. So that fits. And then, of course, the D is the 5th note, and that's also a major chord. So that fits. So it is a lot of trial and error, but if you do it a lot, it gets really quick, right? You can look at a chord progression and go, oh, I know what key we're in, right? Hopefully that helps a little bit. We can kind of go into a lot more detail in the coming weeks about that kind of stuff, okay? There you go. Doo-wop song, exactly. There you go. And 60 songs in general, right? Yes, absolutely. Cool. Excellent. Just looking at some more. Circle of Fifths. There you go, Chad. Excellent. I can subscribe to my own YouTube channel. I can do that too. Well, I have a Guitar Tricks subscription, so if I do forget those songs I've taught, I can go back and check them out. But yeah, Russ, there is some trial and error. You want to see where those chords fit within like a major chord set or a minor chord set, major key or minor key is what I mean. But you get quicker at doing it, right? It's kind of trial and error, making sure that everything fits. And then if it doesn't fit, you got to try and rethink it and go, okay, well, what if I made this chord the 4 chord? Does that work, right? And then think, if that's the 4 chord, then this chord would be the 1 chord. And does that fit? You kind of go through it that way. Hopefully that helps. All right. Cool, everybody. All right, exercise 3 is a little bit of a multi-part exercise where I just came up with a really simple riff using bar chords. Okay, so this is going to start in G minor. I'm using a G minor bar chord, which is barring down on the 3rd fret of all the strings and adding the 5th fret of the A and D strings. Those of you new to bar chords, remember we want to work on getting our fingers in the right spot and check every note to make sure that each note is nice and clean and crisp and ringing out properly, right? If you get some of that kind of thing, you have to readjust and try to get those fingers on there as best you can. And once you do readjust and find how to arrange those fingers, you want to practice the repetition of putting the fingers on in the right spot over and over, okay? Off, on, off, on. That is how you kind of break through the whole bar chord thing, right? If you're down low here and you're having a lot of trouble, move it into the middle of the neck, somewhere around the 6th, 8th fret. Generally, it's a little bit easier to do bar chords at first. In the middle of the neck, the frets are a little bit closer together, okay? Everybody's a little bit different, but just generally speaking, okay? So I've got this G minor bar chord. And you can see that I have it transcribed out 2 8th notes and then a quarter note strum. And that and is going to be an upstroke. So 1 and 2. Okay. 3rd beat and 4th beat, I'm changing chords. I'm moving up to the 6th position. And this is a B flat major bar chord. So it's the same shape, but you've got your middle finger this time on the 7th fret of the G string. That's a major. Yes, Ron, exactly. That's kind of what I was talking about a little bit. A lot of people, when they first start trying to learn the F chord, which is just a major bar chord shape, you try it down here, and typically, a lot of times the strings are a little bit further away on it. It's close to the nuts, and the frets are further away, so it's a little bit harder to get it, right? But if you were up here, 7th, 8th fret, and work on getting that bar chord shape and programming your fingers up the neck a little bit, you'll find it to be a little bit easier, and you can kind of, once you start programming those fingers, work your way down to the F chord, okay? Cool, so we got this B flat major chord. So it goes like this. Okay? And then it goes to an F major bar chord. So talking about the F, right? Down on the first position, same major bar chord shape, right? Okay? Same strum where it's down, up, down. And then back to the G minor chord, down, down. So put it together. This riff is going to be. Okay, a little bit of a simple kind of bar chord riff. Now, this exercise is great just for bar chords, okay? Because we want to get good at like moving up and down the neck, holding bar chords nice and strong so that all the notes ring out, okay? And this strum pattern isn't too terribly difficult, right? So it's more on the simple side of things. So get that under your fingers, and you know, you can. The thing about bar chords is that you can change the key very easily, right? So you just move the relative position of what you're doing. So if I wanted to move this from G minor up to A minor, it would look like this. Okay, that's the whole point of bar chords, is to be able to allow you to change keys very easily and play stuff all over the neck, right? So experiment with that a little bit with this first example, 3A, and also just, you know, just getting bar chords under your fingers a little bit. Okay. I love it. Yeah, that's excellent. Mr. Daniel, I like the ideas there for sure. Elias was doing the backbeat slapping lesson on GT and found that to be just as hard as learning bar chords. There you go. Yes, you know, the whole slapping, I don't know, we've talked about the John Mayer kind of like train thing, slapping kind of thing. That's some tough stuff to kind of get under your fingers a little bit. So yeah, just go slow with it, Elias, okay? Go slow with it. And yeah, just as hard as learning bar chords, absolutely. Cool, okay, so what I thought I would do with this simple progression is show you how to play the exact same chords, but with different chord voicings, all staying in a fixed position. So we're gonna get our caged on a little bit. I'm just gonna show you some different chord voicings that you might have seen before or not, you know, and of course we've covered a lot of this stuff a lot with my chord workshop series, which we did over the last 6 weeks or so. So there's more kind of stuff on this idea in those lessons for sure. What's up, Audible? Good to see you. Excellent. Excellent, Paul. Yes, bar chords. And look at that. Susan's got the bars going on the ukuleles. Excellent. Awesome. But can I bar chord the harmonica? I don't think so. I'm not a harmonica expert in the least. Okay, so 3B. Let's stay in the third position and play these chords. We've got a G minor, a B flat major, and an F major. And what are those chords going to look like? Well, if I'm staying in the third position, I could keep the entire G minor bar chord, but I'm showing you sort of a more real world way that we often play that chord is to break it up so that you're just playing the top 4 strings. So in this case, you can see like that. I'm just playing from the D string all the way up. It's the same notes as the full minor bar chord. Okay. And then, thanks, Ed, I appreciate it. Now, what does it look like if we can go to a B flat major? Well, if you bar down on the 3rd fret here from the D, G, and B string, and then add the 6th fret of the high string, and I love that. The bossing, the ba chords. I love it. It's awesome. Okay? What we're really doing is playing the upper part of an open G chord slid up to make a B flat chord. But I'm just using the top 4 strings, so it's a lot easier to grab. Okay? Barring down on the 3rd fret from the D string all the way up, and then adding the pinky on the 6th fret of the high string. So you've got. All right, next chord is an F chord. Now again, we don't want to change positions here. So what you end up with is based out of an F major bar chord. Here's your root, 3rd fret of the D string. If you got the 5th fret of the G and 6th fret of the B, that's an F power chord. So you could certainly use that, right? Like sounds really good, right? What I've done is added in the low major third, which is an A note on the low string, 5th fret, curling my finger around to mute the open 5th string. And what you end up with is an actual F major, but you might see it as F5/A. But it's really an F major because you've got an A in the chord, although it is the bass, right? It's the root of the chord, but you're really trying to play an F chord, okay? Another way to do this is to get the 5th fret of the high string. Now this is a tough grab, but if you can do it, you can get that full F major sound with F as the root, okay? So let's look at this position for the same riff. Play it one more time. Okay? So there's how to get those 3 chords without moving positions. You're staying locked in this position. Next position, exercise 3C. Okay? Now I've got a different looking G minor chord. This is based off a G power chord, right? Just like we sort of had the F power chord, 2 frets down. Move that up. You've got, okay, power chord, but then if you add the 6th fret of the high string, it turns into a minor chord. So there's G minor, okay? And then in that position, now you can get the upper part of the B flat major bar chord, root 6, but play from the D string all the way up. Okay? So, going to the F chord, now I've got the 7th fret of the D, 5th fret of the G, 6th fret of the B, 5th fret of the high string. Okay? Another F/A chord. Let's see if you can do this on an acoustic. You can do it on the acoustic with a little effort. James, what's up? All right. So, in this position, the 5th position, because we're kind of anchored around the 5th fret, we play that same riff with different chord shapes. Right? Cool. So let's see what's in the next position. We got some other crazy voicing shapes. The first one is for G minor. You're actually starting on the minor third, which is the B flat note. You've got the 8th fret of the D, 7th fret of the G, 8th fret of the B, and then putting that pinky on the 10th fret of the high string. Okay? Pretty cool. Okay. Now we've got to go to the B flat chord. So what have we got? Now I'm just sticking with that power chord shape that we saw before. 8th fret of the D, 10th fret of the G, 11th fret of the B. So F major is going to be right in that position, 8th fret of the A string with the root, and then barring down at the 10th fret of the D, G, and B. That's your root 5 major bar chord. Okay, so there you go, exercise 3D. All right, 3E now. Now we're up in the 10th position, and I've got a G note right there on the 5th string, right? So you've got that minor bar chord shape, root 5. So that's basically a B minor all the way up at the 10th fret to make a G minor. Okay, so we've got that one. And then it turns out B flat is very similar to that chord. You don't have to move many fingers for that. It turns into this shape that we've seen before with the F/A chord in the 5th position. Now it's the 12th fret of the D, 10th fret, of the G, 11th fret of the B, 10th fret of the high string. Okay? So, now for the F chord. That's going to be on the 10th fret. You've got an F triad right there, and what I'm going to do is put another A in the bass and show you this shape, right? Where you're locked down on the D, G, and B string, 10th fret, and you add the 12th fret of the A string. Another very common chord shape right there. Again, that's the major third in the bass. So we've got not a lot of movement there. I just played that riff without hardly moving any fingers, right? So pretty cool. Good to know this stuff, right? All right, and then finally, 3F, example 3F. We're moving up to the 12th position now, and I've got a cool shape right here. Actually, I'm going to start on the top 4 strings. So if I've got the 12th fret of the D, and I bar down on the 15th fret of the G, B, and E strings, that gives you a G minor. And if I put my finger down on the 15th fret of the low string, curl it so I mute the A string, now I've got a G in the bass. So B flat's going to be 13th fret of the A, barring down on the 15th fret of the D, G, and B. Okay? F chord. You could play a full F chord if you could scoot your fingers in there. Major chord, 13th position. I'm just playing the top 4 strings. Okay? And then back to G minor. So. Now you've just played that riff that we started off with, moving around the neck, which is great in itself, right? Very good thing to know how to do. But now we just showed you 5 examples of how to play that same riff locked in any position, okay? So hopefully there were some chord shapes in there that you hadn't seen before or hadn't necessarily used very much or whatever. So definitely explore that kind of stuff, all right? How are we all doing? Everybody good? All right. Exercise 4. Got to work on some arpeggiations, right? So I've got a little bit of a riff here that incorporates a pull-off. We were doing stuff like that last week a little bit. What's up, Jeff Moore? 107. Oh, man. Keep it cool. Keep it cool, all right? Off an open D minor, okay? It's the G and T. Sparkling water's tasting great, my friend. What's up, Steven? All right. So this arpeggiation, we've got based off a D minor, so that's the open D string, 2nd fret of the G, 3rd fret of the B, and 1st fret of the high string. And then I'm pulling off from the 1st fret to the open E, right? So, and then down to the B string, G string, B string. That's going to be the picking pattern. All I'm going to do is now put my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the G string and add a little bit of tension in there, so sort of referencing a little bit of the B flat major chord, but still with the open, all the different notes of the D minor, right? So. And you have to switch it up a little bit because you're going to get to the 4th fret of the G with that same stuff up. And then the last move is to the 5th fret of the G and B. Pulling off 3rd fret of the high string, pulling off to the open string. So you can hear that sort of motion in the chord, the way the chords move. Take it to bars 22 and 23, fingering again, okay? So You can kind of do this. See, what I would do is put the pinky on the D note, 3rd fret of the B string. Use the middle finger here so that you could put your ring finger down on that 2nd chord. But then you have to reverse these, okay? Because you're going to move up to the 4th fret of the G string. So you have to move the pinky 4th fret of the G, then the ring finger goes on to the B string 3rd fret. Okay? So it's all in the ring and the pinky on these. Yeah, I guess I would do it that way. So we're going to do a similar thing, but I'm climbing up the neck a little bit. So now I'm going to sort of outline a D minor back again. This time 7th fret of the G, 6th fret of the B string. You can do the exact same picking of the strings, okay? This time I'm pulling off 5th fret of the high string to the open string. So thanks, Audible. It gets there, man. If you keep working this stuff, your fingers loosen up and you can kind of do all sorts of stuff, okay? Now notice now in bars 22 and 23 of exercise 4, now the pull-off note is the one that's moving up. Okay? It's moving chromatic. At first we were on the G string moving up. Now we're up on the high string. Okay? So this fingering is a little bit tight. You got to scooch this one in because you're still going to use your index finger. You have to kind of curl your fingers and move your hands a little bit to be able to pull that off on the same fret as what you're fretting on the B string, right? Then I use my pinky. Now I'm kind of swiveling my hand this way. Right? So. And then we're going to move this shape up 2 frets. And it's basically the same fingering as the second one that we did, right? And then end it off on D minor. Just barring down the 10th fret of the top 3 strings with the open D string. So I wonder if my metal friends recognize this riff at all. This is sort of based on a famous metal song a little bit. Wow. Yes, good one, Audible. Right, Call of Cthulhu a little bit, right? Which also turned into what Megadeth song? Does anyone know? Give you a hint. Yeah, Hangar 18, I think. That one was based on Call of Cthulhu, right? Because Mustaine kind of wrote that progression a little bit, and they used it on Call of Cthulhu. So there you go. Anyway, but just shows you can take this, this is basically expecting Dio to sing. I like that. Yeah. That's that one, right? So yeah, you got Children of the Sea. Cool. I love it. You guys are getting it. Okay, but at the very least, cool arpeggiation, chords moving a little bit. Okay, really fun stuff. Okay, absolutely. Cool. Okay, so you know, I had a bunch of on the channel. I had done a bunch of YouTube videos, and somebody had commented on one of the YouTube videos that they wanted some, yes, very black metal, right, Mr. Daniel? I think so. Somebody in the comments of one of the other YouTube videos that are on the channel wanted some reggae stuff. I thought that'd be cool to kind of have a look at some reggae grooves a little bit. We haven't done a lot of that kind of thing. But we'll be diving in a little bit more next week. Next week, I've decided to do a sort of a style workshop where we're going to just you know, see some sort of approaches from all different genres, specific to a sort of style, and show you a few, like, you know, I always find that playing in different styles really opens up stuff that you didn't know about, right? So I think we'll kind of do that kind of stuff. Any tricks for right hand picking technique practice? Yeah, I'm going to get to that in a little bit. Of course, starting with the very first exercise of the night, just alternate picking up and down. Work with a metronome. Try to make your timing nice and smooth, right? Go as slow as you need to, because you're programming this whole thing, right? And so if you're trying to go fast and you're kind of missing stuff, it's not going to be helpful. You got to go slow, okay? But I will get to that. There's a couple things towards the end where I'll talk a little more about picking technique and practicing that kind of thing, okay? So just hang tight a little bit. Okay, cool. LaGrange, I love it. Audible, good stuff. So just check out a little bit of reggae. This is a very stylistic thing for reggae, is to play off of the second beat and the fourth beat of the bar. But what's interesting is that in reggae, you know, we kind of usually call that the backbeat, like in an R&B song. If you're, you know, sort of playing, it's that idea in reggae, but in the R&B sort of world, you're hitting the drum snare is hitting the 2 and 4. So they call that the backbeat, and it's really accented. But in reggae, it's interesting because the drums are sort of accenting the 1 and the 3, okay? And you're sort of playing in the holes to kind of like match the drum, okay? So yeah, a lot of upbeats. In this case, I've got it on downstrokes, and they're on the ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? But you can use downstrokes on that. So I've got a chord progression here, and I'm starting on a D major chord. So I'm just going to use the top 3 notes of a D major bar chord. So that's going to be the 11th fret of the G, 10th fret of the B and high E string. Yeah, slow it down. OH, you got to slow that down a little bit, okay? Use the speed buttons on Guitar Tricks if you're working on it there, and just go slow with it and burn it in slowly. The speed will come, but you got to do lots of repetition slowly, okay? All right, so 1. That's the idea that we're doing here. So do you see that 1 and 1 and 2, okay? 1, 2. That's the groove, okay? So if you can imagine sort of the drums going in between, boom. Okay? That's what's going on with reggae a little bit. So there's a few things going on, like we're going to strum that chord and then mute it, right? And so it's a combination of, you can lift your fingers off the strings, karate chop down here, right? That's the groove of it all. Now we're going to start to introduce a chord progression. So it's going to go like this. Whoa. Sorry about that. So by the way, this is where I made that mistake. It's actually the next one, so I'll get to that in a bit. Yes, absolutely, Peter. Good advice. If you want to think rhythm guitar, think like a drum set, right? So you're really just playing in call and response to what would be the drums in a reggae song, because they really accent the 1 and the 3, especially the 1. And we're just adding in, we're just one part of the sauce right here as a guitar player, right? So. Okay, so we got a D major, triad, A major, right there in the D shape. Okay. Okay, and then an E major, 9th fret of the G and B, 7th fret of the high string. That's the upper part of what would be a root 5 major chord. And then the root 5 minor chord, which is the B minor shape, just playing the top 3 strings of everything, right? So you're playing those sort of higher voicings. They tend to cut through a little bit more. You got the kick drum laying down the low and like a bass. And then we've got sort of this higher tinkly kind of stuff coming in, right? Cool. So. Cool. And then the next one, I just moved those voicings down into a different position and used some different triad shapes to play the same chords. So I went down to the 5th position. I've got the 7th fret of the G and B, 5th fret of the high string, and that's your D major to A, which would be the top 3 strings of the A major right there. Absolutely, Peter. You got it. Yeah. E is that D shape down in the 4th position. And then the F sharp minor. It's got a sort of that triad shape, right? It's got a little bit of a different look. 6 and 7 on the G and B, and then the 5th on the high string. All right. So reggaeing out a little bit, got some island feel there happening for the hot temperatures out there right now, for sure. All right, cool. So now we're on to exercise 6. Thought I'd throw in another jazzy kind of turnaround. I know we talked a little bit about this in the last, I believe it was last week, the last chord workshop. Talked a lot about sort of the jazzy turnarounds, but I don't think I did anything quite like this. And in fact, this is sort of taken from Green Acres a little bit. So I sort of added some jazzy guitar onto that theme song, and it's really fun to play. And this is sort of the turnaround section of it. And it's playing off a D major chord, 5th fret of the A string, barring down at the 7th fret of the D, G, and B. Okay, so absolutely acoustic guitar. All this stuff works great on acoustic. Okay, so if you look at the notation for exercise 6 here, okay, I'm hitting the root note, 5th fret of the A, and then hitting the chord, but cutting it off really quick. And you can see that with the dot underneath the notation on the staff. That means staccato. Okay, so when you play this sort of faster, that's kind of what we're going for. We're going to go really slow with it at first, just to show you the chord changes. So like that. And then going to a D7, playing off that same chord, but now barring down from the 5th fret all the way up, 7th fret of the D, 7th fret of the B. It goes from the D major to the D7, that bluesier sound, right? So, okay. Going to a G major. Okay, so we're coming down 2 frets. Oh man, 72. There you go, gotta love the OC. Cool. G major, 3rd fret. Just a root 6 bar chord. And 2 of those, right? Like that. But then G sharp diminished 7th. We talked about that in previous chord workshops. So this one, you're going to go up to the 4th fret of the low string. I use the middle finger, and I bar down with the index finger on the 3rd fret of the D, G, and B. And then scooch in with the ring finger on the 4th fret of the G. Okay? All right? So going from that chord's a little bit challenging to the diminished 7th chord. Like that. Okay, so far. Kind of hear where it's going a little bit, right? Now. Okay, so back to D. Same thing, but then the 5 chord, which is A7. Okay, so this is the root 6 7th bar chord shape. 2 of those and then end off on D. So you put the whole thing together. Looking out my back door a little bit, right, Audible? Yeah, absolutely. Same sort of approach there a little bit. So yeah, that'll be the turnaround in Green Acres. So watch out for it. Guitar tricks soon, right? Cool. All right. Last couple exercises. So I was talking a little bit about getting some comments in YouTube videos, and I had a request for a lick that spans the whole fretboard. And I thought, what could I do to kind of show you as you move through the positions, making kind of a lick. So that's what I came up with in exercise 7 a little bit. So let's see if I can play this a little bit, because I just came up with it today, but it's sort of a great example of just moving through the positions a little bit. So this is going to be in G minor pentatonic, basically. Okay, a little bit of G minor in here, but first one's a very bluesy, kind of straight ahead out of the box, right? 3rd position. Okay, so seen that where you slide up into, this is a G note now, and you switch positions now to the 8th fret of the B. So then I'm going to add right here. So now you've got this new box that you can work in. This new box you can work in. 6th fret of the high string, pulling off 8 to 6 on the high string, back to 8. Okay, so even that first bar is a cool lick. Okay, then from there I'm going to go up one more position. Okay, so I'm sliding into the 10th fret of the high string, but then pulling off chromatically. That's going to give me the blues note right there. Right? 5, flat 5, 4 in relation to G, which is right there. Okay, so another slide to a position. So that pull-off thing, you get to 11 on the B string. 8 on the high string, and then sliding from 11 to 13 on the B, and now you're in a new position. Okay, so okay, and then from there, the slide, I'm pulling off to 11 and landing on the G note, 12th fret of the G string. Right, so. We started here. Now we're here. Okay. Now, that's where I go to the sort of the minor scale right there. 12th fret. Okay. 14 on the G, and just a half step bend up and down. Pulling off to 12. Now look at that. I can change positions again, going 15 to 17 on the D string. And I end up with the G minor pentatonic box pattern a whole octave up, right? So I just ended off. Okay. Bar down at the 15th fret of the top 2 strings, and then grab 18th fret of the B string, full step up, right? Sounds like a black metal lick. All right, I love it. Okay, just one example, but what you're doing is you add a little bit of speed to that, and it sounds pretty impressive. Like kind of going from this area of the fretboard all the way up top. You're building it, right? But the key to this is knowing where sort of those patterns are on the top 3 strings. You got, right? And then when you move up here, you got that box. And then you've got a little box right here, the B.B. King box, right? Based off the B string where that's the root. The B is right there, or the G note, 8th fret right there. When I slide up there, then I've got, okay. Now I've got the other box right there. Then there's the G minor pentatonic right here. That's, and okay, I go up there. Then slide up there, and then boom, we're back where we started, a whole octave up. So hopefully that makes sense a little bit, but I'm not doing anything like super crazy in each position. They're very sort of simple ideas, right? Right? Yeah, there you go. Ended up sounding like Shine On You Crazy Diamond, right? And that's because he adds in that minor. Anyway, that's all I know from that one. I have to think real hard. Bring that one back, right? Okay, cool. We've got our Pink Floyd on for the night. What is the worst key to play in for you? I don't think of it that. I don't know. I guess sort of the flat keys, when you're thinking flats, that's a little bit challenging. Those are the hard ones, the sharp keys and the flat keys. You know, I guess F sharp kind of get used to pretty quick. A lot of songs you can solo an F sharp minor pretty easily, but you can get tripped up a little bit with the sharps and flats. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's really any key that super scares me off, right? You just got to kind of dig in and play with it a little bit. There we go. Thing is, Audible, B flat, the key of B flat is actually a common key because especially for older sort of soul R&B records with horn sections, because a lot of times the horn sections were play in B flat. There's something about the way the horns are where B flat is a great key for horns. So a lot of times, especially where guitar is not the dominant instrument, you'll end up playing in B flat a lot. Right? Yeah, for some reason, F sharp's a really popular, F sharp minor is a popular. Yeah, that's when you tune the guitar to E flat, right? Or pull out the capo, whatever you got to do. Capo won't help you really for playing that way because you still have to fret notes, right? So anyway, cool. All right, so what do we got here? We got one last thing, a little speed training stuff. Just a little exercise to help with getting some speed, dexterity, getting your fingers moving a little bit. And so this is sort of the ultimate sort of shred sequence here that you can practice. And it starts off. First thing you notice is that it's transcribed into groups of sixes, okay? And if you look at the top, the first note of the group of 6, it has a little sort of greater than sign on top. That means to accent it. And that's really important to develop sort of the coordination a little bit, is to dig in on the first of every 6. Now I'm exaggerating a little bit, but okay. So what you want to think about a little bit okay. So this is hard stuff to kind of work on, but what you got to do is go slow and get it under your finger. And just make sure to always kind of add in that accent right there, because it's really good to, it helps your timing a little bit. And then what I've got halfway through that first bar is shifting it up and using different fingers. So now I'm going to use that in the, it's the same sequence, but now the 12th, 13th, and 15th fret. So I'm using the middle finger now. And then I'm going to stretch it out to 13, 15, 17. Right? How do we work on this? Go slow, start a metronome, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. You see each one is a group of 6, okay? So, right? You want to get that first note right on the click, okay? Go as slow as you need to, work those fingers, spend a couple minutes a day on this kind of thing, and that'll really help your dexterity, your timing, and your speed a little bit. So hopefully that answers the earlier question a little bit. Chad, nice to know the neck, everything starting at the 12th fret as the nut. Absolutely, right? Everything's a carbon copy an octave up right here, okay? So once you learn it down here, you transfer it up there, okay? Good stuff. All right, awesome. Right on, Chad, that's awesome. Memorize the entire fretboard, love it. Got to know where those notes are, right? All right, everybody. I hope you got something out of this tonight. Thanks so much for the questions. Every question was great. Did I miss the correction? Oh, yeah. The correction was, let's make sure you got it. It's back in 5B. Exercise 5B, the first chord, the D chord, was incorrectly tabbed. It was, okay, it was actually a D sus2 in the first version, but if you've got version 2, it's been corrected. Okay, it's 775, not 755. All right, cool. Thanks, King 50. I appreciate that. Thanks, everybody. Oh yeah, the guitar. Yeah, the LTD Phoenix, heavily modified to my to my likings. But yes, love this guitar. It's more my kind of hard rock metal machine, but still, yeah, it sounds good on the neck pickup, right? I threw some DiMarzios in it, so I'm pretty happy with the sound of how it's sounding these days. All right, pickups, yeah, DiMarzio, Tone Zone, Bridge, and a PAF Pro in the neck. And I made it splittable so that I can go from a humbucker to a single coil. This is the fake single coil. I think it sounds pretty good. Right on, everybody. I appreciate it. We'll be back next week with a style sort of workshop a little bit. We'll do a cross section of all sorts of styles and just show you some typical sort of rhythm guitar stuff for that. So hopefully you tune in for that. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We had a great turnout tonight, great questions, great engagement on the comments. So I appreciate it so much. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you next week. All right. Take care. Cheers.